on today's show.
What a night! We discuss LeBron's epic game winner, the controversial no call, and whether the Pacers can force a Game 7.
After OKC's massive comeback, we debate whether the Thunder won that game or the Jazz lost it.
And this week's meme team is titled The One with Ricky Rubio.
It's Thursday, April 26th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Whether you're joining us live right now on NBA TV, watching later on YouTube, listening to the podcast, doesn't matter. We're happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Mellis.
Thank you for joining us.
To his right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lily. And last, certainly not least, over yonder, that is the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey,
Yo! TK, what's up tonight?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag the starters. And guys, Gary Payton was in the Game Time studios last night, chopping it up with the guys. But when it came time to reveal his nickname for Joe Ingles, the glove got uncharacteristically quiet.
GP, I know you can't wait to talk about Joe Ingles. And what's your nickname for him?
Ingles.
Have you been calling him Jingles all night?
I call him Jingles, but I'm calling Ingles now because that's his name.
Hey, Jingles is great. Everybody is no need to keep it under your hat, but it does bring us to today's question. What are your best secret nicknames? Secret nicknames, of course, are the ones that you use and no one else does, so you won't even say them in public. For instance, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who calls Fred VanVleet Magic Waters, but that's the name of a water park in Rockford, Illinois, and that's where Fred VanVleet is from, so I'm sticking with it. Also, we've taken to calling Thon McCourt Tuna Maker around here because apparently Thon means tuna in French. And as for me, well, I explained on the drop not too long ago that I am the king of the weenie critters. A weenie critter at Plano Middle School back in the day was, like a miniature corn dog. And me and my mom and sister, anytime it was going to be Weenie Critters Day, would have a jump on the bed party. Who's the king of the weenie critters? I'm the king of the weenie critters. Yeah, you've heard of King James. I am the king of the weenie critters. But we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter. What are your best secret nicknames? Send us your best tweets to hashtag the starters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, get those tweets in. We got a really fun show tonight. We'll get into OKC's incredible comeback. We got a brand new edition of the meme team. Lee's very solid play, but let's start with a little true or false. TK has the questions, and we will break them down. Trey Kirby, take it away, my man.
All right, here we go. True or false playoffs edition. Gonna be exciting, guys. Cavs Pacers has been an awesome back and forth series, and last night was no different. But guys, it's good to be king, because last night LeBron James put up 44, 10 and 8, shut down Victor Oladipo with a clutch goaltend, and then drilled a buzzer-beating, game-winning three to put the Cavs up 3-2 in a pivotal Game 5. True or false? That was the biggest shot of LeBron's career.
Ooh. Now, before we debate,
Yeah.
let's remind everyone out there, and ourselves as well,
Sure.
LeBron's first three playoff game winners looked a little like this. They started in 2009, Eastern Conference Final. Actually, why don't we just take a look at this play one more time?
was a beautiful
because
shot.
it was so gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I still can't believe this happened.
It is ridiculous, hitting it up top.
So we're talking specific buzzer beaters here.
Yeah, because those are his best shots
Right.
of his career. Yeah, he did that thing against the Pistons. Yeah, he overcame the Celtics. But we're talking one shot, 2009. They're down one. This is game 2 against the Magic. Hitting a huge shot. They could have gone down 0-2, looking a lot like last night.
They would go on to lose.
Very similar.
Yeah. 2013 Eastern Conference, or East Finals, I should say, game 1 against the Pacers. Snuck that one into the board. And this was only a few years ago. Back with the Cavs, 2015, game 4. They were down 2-1 in this series.
Heartbreaker.
Getting the Bulls right there, his first playoffs with the Cavs. And that's why I go with that one, because he
Taking it
came
with
back saving the day for the Cavs. They
Right.
didn't win the championship that season, but that's when he came back to save Akron, to save Ohio. You had the David Blatt story. He
Yep.
told David Blatt, hey, that's my shot. I'm not inbounding that thing.
Right.
They were down 2-1. I think Cleveland's story with LeBron James could have gone a heck of a lot differently if they go down 3-1. There's just a lot there. Love was out. He had to save the day. I like that one. It has a story to it.
A positive for last night's, though, it's at home. That one coming on the road, and some people love that. You're quieting the entire building. It was cool to see, and it was like that 09 shot that we just showed you there. LeBron getting it with 3 seconds to go here, dribbling to his left, and knocking the three down, and the place going bonkers. Him jumping up on the sidelines. Like, and putting them up 3-2. Let's point that out as well. I mean, I don't think you'd want to go back to Indiana in a very, very tight series down 3-2. You might be getting bounced in the first round. This obviously helps their chances of moving on here, having to win one of the next two. I think I'd go with that one. It's tough, though. They're all great.
Well, the thing is, with this one last night and the one against the Bulls, if he misses those shots, the game's going to overtime. So
Fair.
he has a safety net there.
Fair.
That's why I'm actually going with the one against the Pacers back in 2013, because that was game one at home. That was an incredibly tight series, went 7 games. Roy Hibbert got pulled out of the game, which was crazy move by Frank Vogel at the time. But LeBron had to hit that shot. If he misses that shot, they drop that first game at home. Now, obviously, all sorts of things can change from there, but they did lose game 2 at home. So I just think for the entirety of that series, that was more crucial because the other one as well against the Pacers, they did go to lose. That was a bad series for LeBron. That was a terrible series. His numbers were fine, but the fact that they lost to the Orlando Magic that time was really bad for him. So I'm going with that Pacers one because that was an incredible rivalry at the time, and the Pacers nearly had the Heat's number.
Okay, let's talk about the goaltend.
Yeah,
The block.
I don't think it's tarnished at all. The game winner isn't tarnished at all because of the goaltend to me. First of all, that goaltend shouldn't have even happened because the Cavs should have had the ball because of a missed call right before then. And this one. Either way, it's a bang-bang call. Will the ball have even gone in? I don't think that's certain.
Yeah, but the referees, you often see them blow the whistle
Just
on a
call
call
it.
like that.
Yeah,
so they can
So
check
they
it.
can trigger
Exactly.
the protocol to go see it. And that's why some people were like, why didn't they just go look at it? Because none of the referees called a goaltending.
Yeah.
And everyone just said, well, looks like a clean block, so let's go. If one of them had called goaltending, they would have looked at it. And like they said in the last 2-minute report, they would have said 2 points for the Pacers. That's the big thing. You say the play before LeBron and the Cavs should have kept it. You're right.
100%.
And they've come out and said that as well.
Yeah, and they didn't review that.
That's possession. Those were points.
Yeah,
those were points taken away.
Sure, but the Cavs would have had another shot with the ball, 17 seconds on the clock. It would have been a different scenario.
Yeah.
It's tied up. They didn't review this whatsoever, even though Thad Young pops it out and it hits the line before it hits Braun and goes out. I mean, so rare that we have this debate that there wasn't a video review call. That wasn't reviewed, which is really strange because everybody in the building didn't think for a second that it wasn't off LeBron. And same for the goaltend. It is weird that they wouldn't call a goaltend and then go back and look at it, but they were just wrapped up in the moment too, I think.
Guess so.
I mean, we're all just wrapped up in the Kings moment. So I don't think it tarnishes it at all to me.
Well, it's a missed call. I mean, that's what happens, and sometimes the referees do miss it. Stan Van Gundy hates it when the refs say, well, we missed it, because their job is to not miss those ones, particularly in a playoff series that could have potentially swung this series.
Yeah.
So.
But those canceled each other out for me.
Yeah, in the end, they did sort of watch each other. But there's no way if you're a referee and seeing that play in real time. That's the other part. They're not looking at it in super slow-mo with the phantom can, whether or not he got it before it hit the glass. It's just bang, bang. It's just instantaneous. So you think if it's that close, you should always call goaltending?
You should call it, and then you can get it right. Because they got it wrong and they didn't call it.
Right.
Yeah, but the ball might not go in.
No, but that doesn't make any difference. As long if it hits the backboard anywhere and then you touch it, the rule is that's a goaltend. It doesn't have to be on its way into the basket.
Insane moments in that game and great ending. Trey, let's move on though.
All right, Jonas Valanciunas was delivering packages left and right last night, going for 14 points and 13 rebounds in the Toronto win. More importantly, he played fourth quarter minutes for the first time all series, notching 6 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 huge steal in the game's final fray. And guys, true or false, Valanciunas won Game 5 for the Raptors.
It's true.
100%.
Yes.
He won them Game 5.
Yes.
I can't go that far, but he's part of it.
There are definitely other factors that contributed to Lon Wright and just the Wizards going cold. But for me, for Jonas Valanciunas, who hadn't played in the fourth quarter in this series, to go out there and respond like that, when Coach Casey must have been feeling beforehand like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, he goes out there and repays him with that incredible faith. Great hands defensively, made offensive plays, rebounded the ball.
They needed some boards in the second half because they were getting destroyed in the first half.
Rebounds like that. Now Dwayne Casey, surely in his back pocket now, he's like, if I need him in the fourth quarter, now I can trust Jonas is going to go out there and make some good plays. So I think it has a longer impact, not just on this game, but in this series and perhaps going forward if the Raptors get advance.
Yeah, the Raptors have been looking for a combination in that fourth quarter since Fred VanVleet went out. He is an important part to that team. They played Baby Nogueira in Game 1. They're just looking for guys. And Jonas Valanciunas works in this matchup perfectly because he can outplay Marcin Gortat.
Right.
In another series, he may not be able to. But the combination of guys out there, including DeLon Wright, who I think was monstrous. The energy level on both ends, you mentioned the hands by Jonas. DeLon's Wright defense throughout this entire series has been incredible.
Yeah, you look at his fourth quarter, he goes 3 for 5, 4 and 4 at the line. he poked the ball from wall that one play, finished on the other end, hit a huge three. He was like 30 feet out. Coach Casey said he shot it from Barrie. I mean, and that was coming off a game where if you were Raptors fans, you were questioning, like, should this guy be out here? Because he looks very, very hesitant to take a shot. And the Wizards are sensing that and backing up off him. He knew that going into this one. He let it fly, and he was huge. So I'm 50% right, 50% JV.
I just don't think you necessarily have that contribution from Wright if you don't get it initially from Valanciunas.
It's possible.
That's my point.
It's the beauty thing about the Raptors. They can go 10, 11 deep legitimately now in the fourth quarter.
Right.
OG Anunoby arguably could have been out there as well. He hasn't been playing fourth quarter minutes. He's been fantastic.
All right, lots more still to come when we come back. Westbrook keeps the Thunder season rolling. We'll get into this game and so much more. Don't go anywhere. All right, let's break down the rest of last night's action with a little what you got. Trey's going to throw the questions at us. We'll bat them around. Got to be careful. Only one correct response. It's whatever TK says it is. Trey.
All right, up 3-1 in the series. The Jazz led the Thunder by 25 points with 8.5 minutes remaining in the third. But then Rudy Gobert picked up his fourth foul. Russell Westbrook and Paul George enjoyed out-of-body experiences. And 8 minutes later, the game was tied, and the Thunder lived to play another day. But guys, was this Game 5 win a Thunder comeback or a Jazz meltdown? What you got?
Ooh, it's always a little bit of both, but I think it's a Thunder comeback.
Yeah.
Thunder comeback.
Yeah, Jazz meltdown, that's harsh. They didn't have arguably their best player out there. We can say they don't win games without Donovan Mitchell offensively, but Rudy Gobert impacts so many things defensively. So yeah, he sat at the beginning of the third quarter there, and that's when they went off.
Yeah.
And that's when not only that, but they realized the next time we walk off this floor, we may be going home for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those two things combined, it's a Thunder win.
I agree with that. I would add a couple other things happening in that crazy run, which was wild to watch. I mean, It was like the Thunder season was over. Here comes the hit pieces on Russell Westbrook and Coach Donovan and the Thunder, but instead they rallied, obviously got the win. The other things that happened were Coach Donovan, he replaced Melo with Jeremy Grant. I mean, that was big. There was a little more athleticism out there because Melo can't hit a shot in this series and he gives you nothing defensively, so they went with that. They changed their defensive scheme as well. It was something we've talked about on the show. They started switching, started going under instead of just, for some reason, just letting wide open three-pointers happen after one or two passes, which was happening earlier in the game. And the fourth part was Westbrook just found his jumper. He found his three-point shot, which has been missing the entire series. He goes 5 of 9 from three in that quarter, or down the stretch there, in all. That's like two more than he's hit the entire series.
And add to that the fact that obviously with no Gobert there, they drove inside.
Yeah.
And when Gobert came back out as well, I think they found perhaps a weakness in Rudy Gobert and said they have to just go at him, risk maybe getting a few shots blocked, that's fine, and he's going to deter a few shots. But if you can get him into foul trouble and he's off the floor, it just changes everything because then defensively they can't be as aggressive on the perimeter because Westbrook and Paul George will just go inside and it just opens so many more opportunities for them. But having said all that, Westbrook was just having one of those moments like LeBron against the Pistons in 07 or against the Celtics in 12 where everything he threw up went in and it just energized him, his teammates, the crowd went crazy because before that run, I've never heard the Oklahoma City fans so quiet in there because the season was done.
Royce Young said they were booing their own players after they got down.
They got an incredible confidence when Rudy Gobert went down, sat down. They realized, all right, now we can score. And it just sort of gives them a little bounce of their step.
Well, they have to take a strategy that's going to work in Game 6 on the road because they can't rely on Westbrook going crazy again to win that game.
But what are they going to do?
Well, like I say, I think they have to try to get Gobert in foul trouble at the risk of getting a few shots blocked and a few knocked away because he's going to do that. But if he picks up 2 or 3 fouls in that first half and then he does have to sit on the bench for a time or an extended period, I think then the Thunder know that they can at least score.
Yeah, I think everything can't just be so methodical with this team too. It's either Russ or Paul George, we're going off, or it's sort of, it's like premeditated when they go into the lane and kick it out. It just seems like the defense knows. If we know sitting here, I imagine this incredible Jazz defense knows what's going on there.
So you want them to play a little more chaotic in a way.
I want them to pass that stinking thing around a little bit. I mean,
they don't just really do that. It's either Russ or it's Paul George. Yeah. And it might be enough to win you some games as it has been in Games 1 and Games 5 here.
Yeah, Games 1 and Games 5, that's true. But they don't have a perfect team built around those two superstars.
No.
It isn't Russ and Kevin Durant. It isn't that version with great defense around him, like Andre Robertson, who isn't there.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows when these guys...
But you might as well put in Grant and Alex Abrinas, who's at least gives a little hustle on the defensive end and can hit a shot.
See, put
those guys out there around those two. That, to me, makes sense. Not Melo, I'm sorry.
Well,
I want to know if Coach Donovan has the guts to start Melo on the bench in Game 6 here.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will,
But I think
he should.
I think he's got a short leash because
He has to.
those guys you mentioned, they do provide at least something on one end of the floor, and Melo's not doing that right now.
Right.
But I don't think you want to bench him entirely. I think you want to maybe start, see how he goes, and then get one of those other guys in there soon.
So just don't get down 25.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
the
get
key.
down 15 and then pull them.
I mean, to make up 25 points in 8 minutes was incredible.
It was
incredible.
wild. Crazy game. All right, Trey, next one.
Actually, I think that was the Thunder comeback, too. I agree with you guys. They seized on Rudy Gobert going out, but after a close first half, the Rockets were able to finish off the Timberwolves last night, meaning James Harden and Chris Paul will have a ton of time to play pool basketball with Oscar from The Office, while the Jazz and Thunder duke it out in their series. But who would the Rockets prefer to play in the next round? Is it the Jazz or is it the Thunder? What you got?
It's the Thunder, for sure.
You think they'd rather play them?
If the Rockets are a slightly worse version of the Golden State Warriors, then the Thunder are a worse version of the Rockets to me. You know, two superstars that don't get everybody involved, don't play great defense. I know they're not a carbon copy of each other,
yeah.
but they're just not as good. I mean, the Jazz, at least they have a style of play that can beat them.
Yeah, well, they swept the Jazz this season 4-0 and lost 2-1 to the Thunder.
Gobert didn't play in three of those games.
I know. But I just
throw them out.
I know.
There's
but
a totally different team is what I meant.
I know Gobert and Capella, like that negates a little bit of Capella's effectiveness there, and you just know that the Jazz are a lot more disciplined defensively. But then again, Russ, if Russ goes crazy like this, I mean, he's a hard matchup, and you saw again in that last game against the Rockets when he took on James Harden defensively, he was fantastic for him. So.
You lean towards the Thunder.
I just think, I mean, the Jazz are definitely more disciplined, but that chaotic play of the Thunder might cause more problems for the Rockets. I don't really know. It's
Flip a coin.
Yeah.
Flip a coin.
Yeah.
Trey, you got the answer, my man. What is it?
I think it's the Jazz. You guys mentioned it. They beat them 4 times this season. Closest game was 11 points, and Rudy Gobert played 3 of those games. That's a lot.
Oh, I thought he didn't play 3 games.
It's all right. I'm just looking at basketball right
Good. Fact check me. Coming up next, the meme team with Ricky.
The Starters is brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey, official partner of the NBA.
Every week, we scour the internet to bring you the meme team, our favorite weird and wacky moments from the past 7 days.
At number 5, Draymond Green was nearly left speechless. He only had one word for this play. It was wow. 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 Remember when they did this to LeBron? It was a hoot. Wow. 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 Wow.
At number 4, over the weekend, Ricky Rubio arrived to the arena rocking a Friends sweater. Pure Hoops Jack Perkins, he switched it up and put Rachel in a Ricky sweatshirt.
Ooh. Ricky should try that hair.
At DJ Mully D, more of a Seinfeld fan, so he fixed it, he said. And Rubio's strong play even got the distracted boyfriend meme treatment. Yeah.
At number 3, during the Jeopardy College Championship, 3 students performed a synchronized basketball intro. They're great.
At the University of Central Florida.
What is basketball? Not this. Although that's a cool
I love Hannah.
It's really, really well done.
The handles, the sick handles.
Oh, nice shot.
It looks good.
So you know we had to
Hanging.
do it. We had to do it. Come on, here we go.
Alongside me, as always, he's a Greek Canadian from Mississauga, Ontario, Tass Mellis. To his right, an older international gentleman from Sunbury, Australia, Lee Ellis. And finally, a bearded dude from Plano, Illinois, that's Trey Kirby.
And we got a little round ball rock thrown on it here by Toll_cover.
See, Lee, you're supposed to do what Hannah did and pass the ride. You shot it
listen,
to Trey.
I was open, so I took the shot.
All right.
I knew Trey was going to get the rebound.
Thanks.
At number 2, Game 3 in Minnesota, James Harden. He tumbled into the crowd here. And Frank Pelota, he noticed how one particular photo looked like a painting from the Renaissance, so the internet got to work. Adam Warlock turned it into a painting, and then at Gaspacho, he took it to a whole other level, meshing it with the wedding at Cana, yes. And then Boss Logic comes in and knocks it out of the park, the accidental Renaissance. And then people just wanted particular fans put into pieces of art. So you got the green guy and you got the frightened yellow woman. Amazing.
At number 1, it's LeBron James again. He's always at number 1 on the meme team. It produced some memes like the captions on this call by Fred McLeod.
Screen set for LeBron James. Going to work, fires, leaning.
We love you, Fred. Now 2 images of King LeBron inserted into some Renaissance pieces, or Renaissance, if you prefer. Well done. Those are great. Thanks, Bleacher Report. And then the Victor Oladipo / Crying Jordan.
Ooh, that's
A lot of memes.
2 memes in one.
Oh, Mimi.
Unbelievable. Final break. When we come back, Lily hits us with the very solid play. Don't go anywhere. Just 1 game on tonight. That's it?
Wow, we only need one after last night.
That's true. Fair enough. Celtics-Bucks, Game 6. Celtics trying to close out the series. Milwaukee trying to give us a Game 7, baby. This one on TNT, 8 p.m. Eastern. We asked you, what's the best secret nickname that you either have or know? Hashtag the starters. Trey, you got a few of the best answers.
Yeah, some really weird ones. Matthew says Marco Bellinelli is the confused werewolf. That's me right now, actually. Richard, me and my boys called Larry Bird Puddin'. Just Puddin'. Howard says, I call Dario Saric the password because he's my current password on my work computer. Hack away, boys! John says, Carl the email man Malone. I love it. And Ray says, a secret nickname for all the starters fans? The starter pack. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Don't mind it.
Pack. Okay. Lily, why don't you give the starter pack a very good, very solid play?
Sure, well, it's the Houston Rockets, and I think they're trying to hog the very solid plays of the playoffs because we saw something identical to this just the other day. Eric Gordon finishes off with a 3-ball. Here it is again. Look, Harden penetrates, swing the ball around, it fizzes, finishes with Eric, and he knocks it in. That's beautiful. That's what I call a very solid play.
Way to go, Eric.
Solid. Yeah, way to go, Eric. Eric Gordon that plays for the Rockets, not the Eric Gordon that sung the national anthem.
No,
No. 3. Okay,
different
got
person.
Got it. Tomorrow's Friday. It means we record the Drop Podcast. Try and get it up as soon as possible. We'll be talking about, obviously, that Bucks-Celtics game tonight. Start looking ahead towards the Pelicans-Warriors series because that one's official. We'll make our predictions for that. And a whole lot more. We'll get it up again as soon as possible. That's it for us tonight. We will see you not only on the Drop Podcast, but here, back at the desk tomorrow.
All right, looking forward to the drop and to our show tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. And remember, everyone has a bad day. Everybody.
Brace the night, people.